What's up, guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Storm Collectibles King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match MAI SHIRANUI. Or is it King of Fighters Ultimate Match 98? I don't know. I never played the game. But I'm familiar with the character, and I am collecting mostly everything Storm makes. No, not everything. A lot of the things Storm makes. Because they make... I can't speak English. A lot of the things Storm makes. Gosh, goodness gracious. They make a lot of cool figures. Taki and Mitsurugi were pretty cool. We've done a lot of the King of Fighters figures. They were pretty cool. And now we have Mai, and she's got a couple of the most interesting plot elements out of any of the fighting game characters ever. And I figured you guys would like to see that, have me review the figure. So, let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, before we look at the figure, let me just show you my package real quick. It's a good usual package for Storm. Nice big window open at the top and the front so you get lots of light in there. You can see the figure. Artwork on the front, artwork on the side, posing on the back. Lots of posing options there. Another artwork on the side. Doesn't say anywhere on here that it's Big Bad Toy Store exclusive in the US, but that is the case for Storm these days. They are the exclusive USA online retailer for Storm. So there is a link in the description below if you want to check them out. That's always appreciated. But usual packaging, pretty good. Storm has some of the best packaging if you ask me. All right, I always have to find a place to set the package on. I have too many places filled with action figures right now. All right, this figure stands roughly, we'll call it 17.5 centimeters, give or take, and that's going to be just about, we'll call it just shy of 7 inches, like 6 7/8. There you go. Darwin, you have had a good couple of days between these Storm figures. She's definitely not 1/12 scale. They are bigger than that. I'd say they're pretty close to the 7-inch scale, whatever that is. Is it 1/10? I don't know. I don't collect it. All right, so let's do a quick question of the day. What are the two biggest things you like about Mai? No, I'm joking. Of course, that would be inappropriate. There are 3 things you could pick. Are you... How many of you are buying this because you know the character and actually like the games? And how many of you are buying this for other reasons? I don't want to know what those reasons are. Just let me know if you're one of those people. And then we'll know to kind of keep our distance. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic on this figure. 2 things stand out, 3 things stand out to me right away, and I'm not making a joke. The first thing, matte finish looks great. Flat to matte finish, looks like a collectible. I like that a bunch. Second thing that stands out to me is there's no shading on it really anywhere. There's some, don't get me wrong, it's there, it's just so subtle. I don't even know if that's going to show up on camera. There's shading right here and right here on her leg. I think you can see it, but the shadows are stronger than the shading, so it's very hard to see that. And then on her clothing, there's none. There's no shading at all, and so that's a bit of an issue. And to go with that, I would say it's a bit of an issue that her chest is all one piece, and so the edge of the white really should have been painted, and it's not. It's flesh tone. Not super obvious if you're not doing a review, but still worth noting. And then the third thing is, the face is really flat. It does not look right. She's got kind of a pudgy cheek baby face going on, and I don't care for it. It's not the worst thing in the world, and what's there is executed well. The eyes are clean, the lips are clean. It looks okay, but I don't think it suits the character very well. She's not usually so... I guess it's babyface is the right phrase, so that's a bit of an issue. There is a lot of shading in the hair, and since we're talking about the aesthetic, I'll talk about that. It looks pretty good. I like it. It's a little heavy on the front part, but still looks nice. The hair looks good. All in all, it looks good. It's clean. The whites are not like muddy or anything. There's a little bit of transfer here and there of red. But yeah, it generally looks good. I do think having the bright red and white outfit, it should have had a wash or something to bring it to life. But it looks good overall. And proportioning is not bad. I'd say maybe her shoulders could be a little bit wider, but it's probably okay, really. I think they're probably all right. Yeah, overall looks good. So I'm going to give it an overall rating for the aesthetic of 8 out of 10. I like a lot about it. I think it could have been enhanced pretty easily with a little bit heavier shading and whatnot, but it's not bad. Even some airbrush shading on the red would have helped a lot, I think. All right, now as far as accessories go, this has got to be one of Storm's strong suits, if not the strongest suit they wear. She has the relatively neutral face that comes on her in the package. Then you get the winking face, which is pretty good. I like that one. You get the yelling face, which is definitely questionable. And then you get the one where she's biting her fan, which is pretty good. The little tassel thingy is a separate piece, so that's awesome, but it does tend to fall out on this head easily. But yeah, she has 4 alternate or 4 total heads. That's cool. For hands, there's just a bunch. There's a whole bunch. I'm not going to list them all out. So that's cool. And then for her fan, her accessory, her weapon, you get the open fan, the closed fan. Obviously the one, like I said, that's in her mouth. And then you get the one with the flame effect, which Storm nailed. This looks awesome. I love the flame effect. That is very cool. I like that a bunch. And then if that wasn't enough, you get another giant flame effect that goes around her body for her to do one of her moves. And that's really cool too. To go with that, you get the usual Storm display stand that has the different pieces to make it taller or shorter. And so that's a good spread of accessories. 4 heads, about 1,000 hands, alternate versions of her accessory, and a big flame. 9.9 out of 10 for the accessories. The only thing it's missing really is like a flight stand. So that's pretty darn good. I like it. That's a nice spread. That's one of the best spreads of accessories we've seen, I think. That is pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit here so that we have a better angle. All right, for the head, first thing I want to note before I forget, the hair does rotate. It's not the best pose for that, but it'll do. Like it sweeps forward when you rotate it because it hangs straight down and rotates at an angle. So it's not the best, but it's definitely better than not having it. It's fine, no problems really. The head is on the ball peg that we normally see at the top, so you don't get a ton of wiggle. It's mostly just rotation, but then it should be connected by a ball peg down to the chest. Let's see if we can get her neck to lean. Leaning forward doesn't work that well. Side to side works a little bit. It's not the best version we've seen of this, but it's okay. The head does seem to sit just a little high, maybe. Works pretty well leaning back. It's not bad. It's good enough. It does seem, I think that's why I thought her shoulders were narrow. I think her neck is a little bit long. Can we? There we go. That's better. Make sure you push down on the neck when you take it out of the package. It looked like it was all the way down, but it wasn't. So that's good. Okay. For the shoulders, it's the usual Storm design. This can come off if you want it to, by the way. I don't know if you would want it to, but it can. It's just a separate piece. Usual Storm design, so you have the ball peg to let the arm move around, and then you get your shoulder range better than horizontal, no issue there. Full rotation all the way around except for where those are. They're definitely in the way a little bit of the arms, so be aware of that. Speaking of, we have to do the test. Can she bring her arms across her chest at all? Taki had a little bit of this. A little. There's a little give there, but not that much. There's a lot of plastic here because we have the loose shirt sculpted on top of the body, so there's thick plastic where it's loose. So you can't squeeze them as much as you would like. Maybe you would like to squeeze them a lot, maybe a little. I don't know. I'm just talking about the articulation. You're not going to get much squeeze out of the arms is all I'm saying. See how they're fighting? All right, so bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, really good range. Not the best looking thing we've seen, but it'll do. And then of course our wrists have ball hinges. That's fine. The torso on this figure is different than most Storm figures. There's a joint in there underneath all of this, not counting the waist joint. There's a waist joint, obviously, which that's where you're going to do most of your work. You're not going to get a whole lot done. I don't like that they carved it out for the belt, because as soon as you pose it, it looks ugly. I don't like when companies do that. I don't know why they do that. Just taper it and tuck it. Taper and tuck, that's what I say. But you do have that cutout. You do get full rotation and decent leaning, but not a ton of leaning. And if you want to use the one on the inside, you have to grab it really tight right here, and then you can kind of move it, and you can see what that's doing to her chest. But that's because her chest is really thick plastic, and it has to flex a lot, and it looks kind of weird when you do it. I'm sure some of you are going to figure out ways to pose this differently in different ways to get her boobs to do different things, but I'm just showing you the joint. There is a ball peg in there. It's hard to do anything other than crunch it forward or crunch it back a little bit. Try what you will. All right, this is, please let it be completely floating. Is it a floating piece? I sure hope it is. Or is it connected? It appears to be a completely floating piece, so that's good. This won't get in the way as much as some of the Mortal Kombat figures' loincloth pieces did, so that'll be okay. You'll be able to rotate that. We have to talk about this. I don't like the way they did the hips and butt. They did like they did on Jewelry, where it's just a shelf. Look at it, just sticks out weird like. Don't do that. It looks so weird. Once it's posed, it'll look fine, but it looks so weird. And they put just a little bit of the butt up onto the crotch piece here. The diaper piece, I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have just left it, the red part, and put all the butt on here as much as they could. In the back anyway. I think it would have looked better, or they needed to come farther down. I don't think this is a great way of doing it. Granted, this is a hard transition to make look good. So I think it needed a little bit more time in the oven to figure out what to do. Because I don't really like any of the ideas I just had or the way they did it. But it's not the worst thing, and like I said, once you pose it, it'll be okay. But having this shelf right here is definitely strange. So let's see how the hips work. Going out to the side, you do get basically full-on splits. And like I said, once you pose it, you're not going to notice the weirdness. So that's a good thing. How's it look on the back? Definitely strange. Definitely very strange from the back. Her ass cheeks are about a foot apart. That's really weird looking from the back. From the front though, it's fine. So just pose her like a normal person and don't look at her ass as much as you might be otherwise inclined. Good splits. Let's see how she kicks forward. She kicks forward nicely. There's a lot of weirdness going on. Can we adjust that to not be happening? Yeah, you can. A little bit. You're going to have to play with it a little bit more, but you can tuck her diaper piece in a little bit. Make it look less weird. But she can kick pretty high going forward, going back all the way as well. But it does get really dislocated and weird looking. Where they put the joint in the hip area is a little bit strange for some posing. You're going to have to work around that to make it not look very strange if you're not looking at it from the front. Thigh swivel is minimal, very little thigh swivel, so certain poses are definitely going to be hard for her to do. Specifically, I always put the package so far away. This pose here, you're going to have some difficulty doing it because of the lack of a thigh swivel that's really effective. So be aware of that. Let's see the knees. I'm sure they're going to work just fine. Double jointed knees. Not as much range as I would have guessed. It's not a bad looking knee at all, but definitely limited range to some degree. And then for the ankles, you get, let's see, they go back nicely, very nicely, and they go forward better than most Storm figures, but still not that much. And the ankle rocker, is this a separate piece or not? It is, but let's see, the ankle rocker, I can't really get to do anything because of the way they did that. That's unfortunate. And then the toe hinge is acceptable, but it's pretty far back on the foot, and it's not super tight, so yeah, it's not great. So her articulation is not the best. I think it'll be good enough, and you'll be able to hide some of the weird things through posing her, but it's not the best, and to some degree that's reasonable given her design. She's kind of half naked, but I think it's not bad. I think it's going to be like Jury and like Taki, where there are definitely weird issues, but you can pose around them. I'll give her articulation for Storm a 7. It's not impressive. It's good enough. In some ways it's really good, but other ways it's not. So I think that's fair. Yeah, I think if you give her some posing, it'll be fine. So, time for a final verdict on this release. I think it's solid. It's not perfect. The faces bother me the most out of anything. I can live around the articulation problems. The faces aren't great, but luckily they're at least well executed. So once you get her posed, I think it's going to be just fine. I'm going to give it an overall rating of 8.5 out of 10. The accessories are awesome. The overall aesthetic is pretty darn good. You just have to work around the posing and you have to work around the weird faces, but they're still not bad faces. So, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every day but Wednesday, but sometimes also Wednesday, and thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.